All right, guys. So today we're still in book 6. We're doing lesson 4. We will practice solving equations and representing situations with equations. So you're in lesson 4. You're going to look for that title. I know there's no page numbers, but you need to look for that title. We will solve equations by doing the same to each side. So we're going to get a little bit more practice, and it'll be a little bit of review what you did before spring break. For us to just kind of refresh here. So we are first starting on section 2. So I need you to go to where it says row game, solving equations practice. And we're going to be filling in on that. So we're only going to do a couple of these. I know in your book, you guys can see a couple different columns and different things. I'm just going to be working a few of these out. What I'd like you to do is on the bottom left of that page next to this chart, work out what I'm working out. I would not write that big because we are going to do 5 of these. So make sure when you're writing on that bottom left that you have space. So the first one I'm going to do is 18 equals 2x, right? Well, remember that in between that x and that multiplication, that x and that 2 is a multiplication sign. So if we already have multiplication, we can divide them to find what x is, right? So some of you know that 2 times whatever is x, right? But sometimes the numbers are not going to be that obvious. So you're going to need a strategy. So what we do is we divide, right? So because there's already multiplication, I choose division, right? Now what happens is this. I want you to watch very closely. When you divide 2 by 2, that just makes 1, right? So that 2 and that 2 almost cancel out. And we're just left with x, right? And that's what we want. We want the variable isolated. We want the variable all by itself. And then most of you know, 18 divided by 2, that's 9, right? So you're going to just write that down. So 9 equals x when we're solving that one. Okay, and technically speaking, in front of this x is a 1, but we don't need to write that. 9 is x. Okay, so that's how you would solve that first one in column A. So now I'm going to move over to column B. So what I've been trying to set you guys up is this addition sign. So if there's already an addition sign, we do the opposite operation, or we subtract. So some of you don't know what something plus 5 to make 13 is. Some of us don't know that. And later on, you won't know that because the numbers are not going to be as pretty as I call them, right? So when the numbers aren't as nice, you need a procedure. So this is the procedure. You would subtract 5 from each side. Now notice the 5 is on each side of this equation sign. Some teachers draw a line so the kids know that 1 needs to be on each side. And always remember, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. Now, some of us know 5 minus 5 is 0, right? That cancels. And then we bring down x equals. Then we're going to do 13 minus 5, which is 8. So x is 8. Okay, so you should write down everything I have right there. All right, and now I switched back to column A, and I'm going to work out this one. Well, remember I told you guys that technically speaking, that is multiplication. So you can look at this in 2 ways. You can think, okay, well, 8 times what makes 56? What most of you are doing in your brain, and you don't understand that you are, is you're dividing, right? So we divide each side. Now we always divide each side by the number that has the variable because we want the variable to be by itself. So in our situation, I would divide by 8, right? And like I've told you, 8 divided by 8, well, that's 1x, right? And then 56 divided by 8 is 7. So x is 7, or most of you knew 8 times 7 made the 56. Right? So that's that one. Now we get a little more complicated here, right? Now here's what happens. Because I already have this here, that right there, that tells me that I already have division, right? So I already have division. So if I need to know how to solve this, I'm going to do the opposite of division. And the opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply on each side. Now what you're going to see is I'm going to multiply this side by 4. And these 4's cancel, and I'm just left with 1x over here. Well, if I multiply one side by 4, I have to multiply the other side by 4, right? And then 4 times 21, that makes 84. So 84 is x, right? So 1/4 times 84 makes 21. Some of you may have done it a different way. You might have done 21 divided by 1/4, and that would have worked as well. I'm just trying to teach you a consistent strategy for when the numbers are difficult. And then this is the last one here. So on this one, I already see add. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract from each side. Now, what I subtract is not going to be 5 because I want this variable to be left on this side, right? So if I subtract 217 from here, and remember that line, and I subtract 217 here, this cancels, and I'm left with x. And then 5 minus 217 is going to be 2.83. So x is 2.83. So you're going to write that down. Now you're going to go to the next page. So just kind of turn your book over, and we're going to be filling out that whole top, that whole page right there. So 4.3, it's called choosing equations to match situations. So we will circle all the equations that describe the situation. You can draw a diagram, and then they want us to solve. So Claire has 8 fewer books. So that's a key word there, right? Fewer books than May. If May has 26 books, that's her total. How many books does Claire have? So the equation that you're going to circle is that one. It can also be this one. And it can also be this one. And if you were to solve all of those, you would get 18. So that is all you'll do on that first number 1. Now I'll move on to number 2. A coach formed teams of 8 from all the players on the soccer league. There are 14 teams. How many players are in the league? So the y over 8 is 14. That's going to be one we use. 1/8 y equals 14. That'll be another one. And then the other one is going to be the 14 times 8. And our answer would end up being 112 if we were to plug in for y. Number 3, so now you're at the top again. Kieran scored 223 more points, so more points. That's going to be a key in a computer game than Tyler. If Kieran scored 409, that's his total, how many did Tyler score? So the first one you'll circle is that. The next one's going to be that. And then your last one is going to be that one. And if you were to work these out, your total would be 186. And then your last one. May ran 27 miles last week, which was 3 times. Now, whenever you see 3 times, that is an indication that it's dividing or multiplying by 3, right? How far did she run? So your first equation is that one, and this one, and this one. Those all match the statement above. Okay, and if you were to solve these, you know 3 times 9 is 27. Okay, so you're going to turn in your notes and we're going to start the practice.